My girlfriend takes screenshots of messages in my phone. Here's how my life took a dive into chaos, jealousy, and the drama of a soap opera starring my girlfriend Sarah and my new coworker Emily. I'm 25, balancing two niche jobs, both of which sometimes require me to work from home and interact with clients there. My girlfriend, Sarah, is 23, and we've been together for 2 years. She's always had a streak of jealousy, but recently, it's like someone turned up the volume to 11. This all started innocently enough. I met Emily at my second job. She's also 23, and to my surprise, she's diving into the same weirdly specific field that I'm already in. She's passionate, curious, and incredibly enthusiastic about our work, and it was refreshing to meet someone who shared my career interests so deeply. Naturally, we started talking more, and she suggested that we collaborate on a project in my home studio. I was excited about the opportunity, and I thought Sarah would understand. So, I told her about Emily right away, thinking honesty was the best policy. I even made sure to mention Sarah in my chats with Emily to set clear boundaries and to show that I'm in a committed relationship. But Sarah, she wasn't on the same page. She immediately got territorial and told me she didn't want Emily coming over to my place. This threw me for a loop. My job demands interaction with various people, and I felt like Sarah was questioning my integrity, like I'd risk our relationship for someone I just met. I tried to explain that if I wanted my career to advance, I needed to collaborate with people, men and women alike. But she dropped a bombshell on me. I trust you, but I don't trust other women. I know how women are. Her words hit me like a freight train. She was basically saying that all women, except for her, are potential homewreckers. I asked if she'd feel the same way if she worked with a married man, but she doubled down, saying she wouldn't cross any lines, but her friends. They might. It was a classic case of double standards, and it sent the first major red flag waving in my face. I was already on edge. Now, fast forward to the day she asked me to take a picture of something. I grabbed her phone and accidentally stumbled upon a screenshot of my conversation with Emily. My heart pounded. Sarah had clearly sent it to her sister, as she often shares our chats with her. Seeing that screenshot made my blood boil. My phone wasn't even locked, and here I was, left wondering how many other conversations she'd been snooping on and sharing. I felt violated and utterly betrayed. My anger was like a volcano ready to erupt. My privacy had been invaded, and I was seething inside. I knew I had to confront her, but I didn't want to blow up. We had dinner planned that evening, and I decided to use that opportunity to bring it up. I needed to see her face when I asked why she'd been snooping. I wanted to hear her explanation. Dinner was a tense affair. I couldn't focus on the food or the small talk. The air was thick with unspoken words. Finally, when we were having dessert, I put down my fork and took a deep breath. "Sarah, I need to talk to you about something serious," I said, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside. She looked up, her eyes betraying a hint of worrying. "What is it?" "I saw a screenshot of my conversation with Emily on your phone. Why did you take it?" Her face paled. She opened her mouth, then closed it, finally stammering, "I didn't mean to. I was just worried." "Worried about what? That I'm cheating on you? That I'm lying about my work? You had no right to go through my phone and take screenshots. How many other conversations have you been snooping on?" Tears welled up in her eyes, and she started crying. "I'm sorry, I don't know, I get jealous. I've seen so many relationships fall apart because of things like this. I didn't know what to do." Her tears didn't soften the blow for me. "Sarah, trust is the foundation of any relationship. If you can't trust me, then we have a serious problem. Going through my phone without my permission, sharing my private conversations, that's not okay. It's a huge breach of privacy." She nodded, sniffling. I know it was wrong. I don't know what came over me. I promise I'll never do it again." "I hope so," I said, not entirely convinced. "But it's going to take time to rebuild that trust. I don't know how we can move forward if you're always doubting me." We finished the rest of dinner in silence. I didn't feel like talking anymore, and Sarah seemed too ashamed to say much. I drove her home, kissed her on the cheek, and told her we'd talk more later. I needed time to think about everything. The next few days were a whirlwind of anger, confusion, and reflection. I loved Sarah, but the trust had been shattered. I reached out to a few close friends for advice, trying to get their perspective on the situation. Most of them were shocked and agreed that what she did was a huge red flag. They urged me to set clear boundaries with her and have an honest conversation about trust and privacy. A week later, we had another sit-down. This time, it was serious. I laid out my feelings, my need for privacy, and the importance of trust in our relationship. I told her how much her actions had hurt me and how it made me question our future together. She listened, apologized again, and promised to work on her jealousy issues. She even suggested going to therapy together to work on our trust issues. It was a small step, but it showed me she was willing to change and make things right. I decided to give it a chance. I loved Sarah, and I believed in her ability to change. But I also made it clear that if something like this happened again, we'd be done. No second chances. I wasn't going to live in a relationship where my privacy was constantly invaded. The next few weeks were awkward. Sarah was walking on eggshells, and I was hyper-aware of every little thing she did. She'd text me to say she missed me, and instead of feeling warm and fuzzy, I'd wonder if it was genuine or if she was checking up on me. I started locking my phone, something I'd never done before. The carefree trust we had was gone, replaced by a guarded wariness. Sarah began making an effort to show she was changing. She stopped asking for details about who I was working with or what I was doing every minute of the day. She got more involved in her own hobbies and started going out with friends more often. She even set up a few sessions with a therapist on her own, working on her jealousy issues. I could see she was trying, and it gave me a glimmer of hope. One day, she invited me to one of her therapy sessions. I was skeptical but agreed to go. It turned out to be a turning point. The therapist helped us communicate better, and we both opened up about our fears and insecurities. I talked about how her snooping had shattered my trust, and she explained how her past experiences had made her paranoid about relationships. It was a tough session, but it was a start. After that, things began to improve slowly. We started setting aside time for each other, doing activities we both enjoyed. We took a weekend trip to the mountains, something we used to love but had stopped doing because of all the tension. Being away from everything, just the two of us, helped rekindle some of the closeness we'd lost. We hiked, talked about our dreams, and for the first time in months, I felt like we were reconnecting. Back in the real world, it wasn't all smooth sailing. There were still moments of doubt and suspicion, but we were both committed to making it work. We set up some ground rules: no more snooping, no more secret screenshots, and open communication about our feelings and concerns. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. Sarah gradually started to earn back my trust. She stopped reacting jealously every time I mentioned a female coworker and focused on her own growth and independence. I started to feel more at ease, though I was still cautious. Trust is fragile, and once it's broken, it takes a lot to rebuild. But I was willing to try because I loved Sarah, and I could see that she was genuinely trying to change. As the months passed, our relationship started to feel more stable. We had fewer arguments, and when we did, we handled them better. We were more honest with each other, and I felt like we were finally moving forward instead of being stuck in a loop of jealousy and mistrust. We even started talking about our future together again, something that had seemed impossible during those dark days. One evening, while we were sitting on the couch watching a movie, Sarah turned to me and said, "I'm really glad we didn't give up on each other." I looked at her and felt a warmth I hadn't felt in a long time. "Me too," I said. "It's been a rough ride, but I think we're stronger because of it." That night, as we lay in bed, I realized that while the road had been rocky, it had also taught us a lot about each other and ourselves. We had faced some of our worst fears and come out on the other side, bruised but not broken. It wasn't a fairy tale ending, but it was real, and it was ours. The experience had changed us both. Sarah had learned to manage her jealousy and trust issues, and I had learned to communicate better and set boundaries. We weren't perfect, and our relationship wasn't either, but we were both committed to making it work. Trust isn't something that can be rebuilt overnight, and we both knew that. but for the first time in a long time, I felt hopeful about our future together. As I lay there, with Sarah asleep beside me, I thought about how far we'd come. It had been a roller coaster of emotions, but in the end, it had made us stronger. Our relationship had been tested, but we had come through it together, and that was something to be proud of. We still had a lot of work to do, and there would undoubtedly be more challenges ahead, but for now, we were on the right path. And that was enough.